So today we're gonna make the perfectly grilled pork chop and a roasted salsa verde. So the first thing we're gonna do is start roasting these. With the tomatillos, when you get them at the grocery store, they're gonna come with a little husk. So all you have to do is pull these off, rinse them. They feel a little bit waxy. We pre-wash these. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bowl. This is a little secret. Take a look at this. We have a little silicone brush that's heat resistant. And I'm just gonna put a little olive oil in there and we're gonna brush these. And we're gonna roast these whole, okay? We're gonna roast these whole. If you don't like things spicy, then you don't have to leave this whole. You can kind of pull out all those seeds. And we're gonna throw this on a preheated grill. This grill is nice and hot, been preheating for about 5 minutes just to get it nice and charred when we put our tomatillos and our poblanos on there. So step one is real simple. Just take our tomatillos, our chili poblano, some of our garlic, cover this and check on it every couple of minutes just to make sure it doesn't burn. So the next thing we're gonna do after these are roasting, we can get started with our pork chop. So here's rule number one. Anytime you cook meat, you wanna let it rest at room temperature for a good 30 minutes, just so it can kind of warm up a little bit. You never want to cook an ice cold steak or pork chop. Number two is we're going to season this right before we cook it. So I'm just going to throw some gloves on here real quick, and we're going to season this with just salt and pepper. That's it. Just season it generously with salt and pepper. You could add extra ingredients if you want to, meaning spices and things of that nature, but I love just a perfectly grilled pork chop with the salsa verde. It'll be great. So what I'm going to do here is hit this with just a little bit of olive oil on both sides, and then we'll season this with a little bit of salt and pepper. And the bone-in pork chop is great because it has a lot of flavor, lots of fat. Because of that bone, it's gonna give it that extra bit of love. So we have that on one side. We'll flip this over, and we're gonna season the other side here with a little bit of salt and pepper as well. So again, real generous. Just hit this with salt and pepper on both sides. Nice and generous, just like that. And then here's the secret. Little extra oil right before it hits the grill. So we have our brush here. We're gonna make sure that's coated nicely with oil, because think about it. When you cook in a saute pan, if you don't add oil, what's gonna happen to your steak? It's gonna stick. So we wanna make sure that this is coated nicely. You could also take your brush that's coated with oil and you can hit your grill grates too, just like this. Just like putting oil in a saute pan. Then we're gonna lay these down. You can press to make sure it's touching the grill. And we'll let those cook for about 5 minutes and we'll come back and check on it. So now we're gonna check on the pork chops and everything for our salsa verde. Everything looks good for the salsa verde. We're ready to start blending that. Our pork chops, we can take a peek underneath here. Oh yeah, they're nice and golden. See that there? We'll just flip those bad boys over. We'll let those finish cooking on the other side. And now we're gonna take all of our ingredients for our salsa and throw them in the blender. So we have our tomatillos, nice and roasted there. We have our roasted garlic, and then our chili poblano. You don't want that stem in there, so you could just take a knife and kind of round cut this out or just slice that part off. I like mine nice and spicy, so I'm gonna leave the seeds in there, throw that in there, and then just take that piece, toss that in, and we're gonna take a little bit of cilantro. So I have some cilantro here. The best way to store it is like a flower. A little bit of water, throw it in your fridge, and then it stays nice and fresh. You can just kind of rip that off. And instead of using a whole onion, I like green onions. I get a little bit of the green. This white part down here tastes like a fresh onion. And we're just gonna slice this up into little pieces and throw that in our blender as well and get that going. So now the pork chops are just about done. Come take a look. They're nice and golden. Our salsa's finished. The only last thing we need to do is season our salsa with a little bit of salt and pepper. But the pork chops, how do we know when they're perfect and nice and medium? Well, here's a real quick meat trick. If you open up the palm of your hand, you press on the fatty part here. This is rare. And then pointer finger to the thumb, medium rare. Middle finger to the thumb, medium. Ring finger, medium well. And pinky finger, well done. So I want our pork chop nice and medium. So I'm gonna compare that with the tenderness. That's about firm and springs back, about medium. So it's absolutely perfect. So I'm gonna take it, lay it on our plate. And we can serve this family style, so I'll do 2 of these on our plate. We'll just lay the first one down, and then our second one, so we can serve this family style. And you don't want to slice into this immediately. You definitely want to let this rest for a few minutes. I like garnishing this with just some olives here. I love olives, so we'll just place a few of these here, maybe some red peppers that come along with those pickled olives, and we'll throw that in there like that. And then our salsa, we're just gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper in this. Finish this blending for just a second, just a little pinch. Blend this for just a second, mix that in there. Now we're gonna take just a nice little dollop of that salsa. Take a look at this. Ooh, it's nice and thick. If you could only smell that garlic. Now we're gonna take just a little knot of this right down the middle, like that. If you want more, you could always serve that on the side. I like this with a nice tall glass of sparkling water, ice cold. If you want to get a glass of wine, white wine goes great with this. But let's slice into this and taste this. Yeah. Still juicy. Look at all that juice coming out. See all that juice? Perfect medium. Let me hit this with a little bit of that Salsa Verde. Oh my gosh. Dead serious. No lie, this is so delicious. Thanks for joining me today. This is our perfectly grilled pork chop with our Salsa Verde.